This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
It sure is that time. It's the Halftime Show with Omar Adori. I am your host, covering everything sport, international and local. Thank you very much for locking in with me today on this fine Saturday afternoon. What a show we have in store. Now, Craig Mcmanus is someone I've met in the UK doing our coaching badges. Now, obviously knowing you come across so many different people when you go on courses. I had no idea who I was sitting next to on this course to jump up to UEFA. Now, this was really, really interesting because his background, his story, what he's been through, and also what it's given back to him in order for his career to flourish the way it has. From zero to hero, he's done so much in the game already, and he's still growing as a coach. Now, when you listen to his interview today, you're going to notice that he has quite a presence about him, and also he's very grounded. You could never imagine what he's been through. So make sure you lock in today. He's going to be on the show, on the Halftime Show, which is going to be great. I can't wait to share this episode with you. What a show we have in store. Go get yourself a little bit of a drink, and I'll see you right after this. Enjoy.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
You are one person I have a lot of respect for and admire. And for those that are listening and are new to, obviously, yourself and our relationship, Craig Mcmanus is someone I met in the English Football Association doing our coaching badges. We actually sat on the same table by coincidence and were part of a team to set up our development in coaching. And a true ambassador, as a human being as well. I have a lot of respect for him. After hitting rock bottom, he overcame a 2-decade battle with cocaine and alcohol. He lost his job, car, and his house to addiction. But, however, he did turn it around. He did represent Scotland as a player at street soccer, if I'm correct, and led England out in the Homeless World Cup, which was, for me, mind-boggling. So just a brief introduction on Craig. Craig, welcome to the show, my man.
Thank you. It's great to see you again.
It's good to see you too. How have you been? What are you up to these days?
So, obviously, things have been kind of put on pause with the current situation.
Yeah.
It's been a difficult time for everyone, but I think over the last number of months, in particular, it's given me a lot of time to consider. And the last time we spoke, I mentioned that I was going to be leaving my role managing the Team England Homeless World Cup squad and investigating other opportunities. So I've done that, and I'm now in the inception of a new idea in London, which will be called Street Soccer London, and it is basically working with youths across the city. The main goal was preventing knife crime, violence, and that epidemic that goes on in the city of London, but also challenging the big issues around poverty, homelessness, addiction, and stuff that's very close to my heart. So we got that going at the start of the year, and we were just starting to get operational, and obviously COVID's put a pause on that, but that's okay because we'll return back when the time's right.
That's exciting times though, man, especially from someone who, naturally you had that leadership. We were sitting on the table, it was four of us, I think, four or five of us, and we just looked to the big man on the right, and it was Craig there sitting down quite quiet, and we thought he was a leader when he was sitting down, but also the ability to absorb the information is what I have a lot of respect for, because you took things from everywhere and kind of meshed it into your own flavor. But then when we went out on the pitch, then again, the natural leadership, because you played for Hamilton, I believe, in the Scottish League, the natural leadership showed up. Everyone was like, the big man at the back, you got to watch out for him. Lucky for me, I was on the other side, so it wasn't that bad. I didn't have to face you that many times. But yeah, it's great to see what you're doing, man. And you know what's nice is that it's just creating like a positive, fresh outlook on what we have been facing, and a lot of people have kind of avoided that, especially with what's been happening crime-wise and with the substance abuse and everything. A lot of people have kind of just almost ignored it or neglected it. You face it head on. How has that experience been?
Well, I think it would be remiss of me to ignore my experience in life. I've been involved in football since 4 or 5 years of age, and it's been constant in my life, and if anything, it's the only thing that's been constant in my life. So I've played at different levels, had wonderful experiences, but I've also seen the good of what football can achieve. I've saw how it can bring people together, it can create a sense of belonging, it can challenge not just physical well-being but mental health. It can bring a community closer together. So in London, I've been in London for 3.5 years, and obviously I've had my own issues, which resulted in me playing with Scotland at the Home World Cup, and then, as you mentioned earlier, managing the England team, in the Home World Cup thereafter. But I saw the magic of the game from a different sense, and I believe that if you keep things simple, as I said, we're not trying to do anything too sophisticated. All we're trying to do is bring communities closer together and improve the life choices of the young people in the city through the game. The way of doing that is, as I said earlier, is bring the group of people together, but have positive role models, people with lived experience who can share that experience, and more importantly, give the young people a route out of maybe the gang culture or what they perceive as success in their own estates or manors or communities. But for me, it's that sense of belonging, but always being there for someone when things might not go the way that everyone expects them to go. So, for example, some young people that we work with have had terrible experiences in education, poor experiences in the home, and it's very difficult for them to trust people. What better way can you do it on the football pitch, and just build experiences, build a bond, have a bit of fun on the way, and then once we've got that relationship, then we can start challenging the bigger issues. But for me, it all stems in one main thing, which is poverty. And, if we can, as a community, come together and challenge these things, then there's no doubt in my mind it will create hope, which will ultimately create opportunities for the people that we work with, both young men and young women in the city.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
And it raises awareness on what's happening around us, because a lot of the times, studying the game, we see, like, for example, a South American that comes from abroad and he's hungry, and we're like, wow, we love that hunger, but we have that around us. And we're kind of looking at the South Americans and the people that come from outside and say, wow, look at the way that they've come from poverty. Then what you're saying now is addressing the ones that are literally around the corner and saying, they're suffering from that as well. How much has the game shifted now to the mental side of the game, in your opinion?
So I suppose I'll lead, and I've got two hats on there. I've got my professional hat on a daily basis, working with football in a different context. But, a big part of what we'll do is focus on that social and psychological side, where it's improving decision-making, problem-solving, communication, teamwork, awareness, perception, all these types of things. But I'm also doing a bit of coaching as well. Well, I will be when we get back, which has that mix of the technical and the tactical stuff. So I've got, I think, we spoke about before, that kind of holistic approach to the player come first, future player model that we experienced through our education at the FA. But I think that, so football, regardless of what your circumstances are, it can be effective in any way, but we as an organisation at Street Soccer London, we are not trying to create footballers. We're trying to create positive young men and positive young women who have experienced probably a lot of the time trauma and really negative experience. So there's a lot of care needed around that, and obviously we're not going to be that focused on competitive edge, but we can use that. We can use that to an advantage to allow them to see that, it's a tough world at times, and you need to have that edge if you want to be successful, whatever success means for that individual. So we'll nurture that, but in a very positive way. But on the other side, when it comes to the coaching that I'm doing, and I will be doing, it's very difficult to not get caught up in that competition side of it, which I love. So I've got the best of both worlds. I've got something I'm extremely passionate about, and it's not, I've said this I think before to you, it's not a crusade that I'm on. It's not like I'm here to save the world. I don't have any ambition to do that in any way. All I can do is be a positive role model in that environment, and hopefully young people, other people I work with, identify that. And similarly, in the coaching side, all I can do is pass on my experience and give people advice and guidance, and I hope that allow them to kind of nurture the problem solving skills that are required to be successful in the game at whatever level they go on to play with. So I'm really fortunate. I'm in a really good place, and I'm not being ignorant of what's going on in the world, but I think, over the last number of months, it's given me a lot of time to obviously focus on me as an individual and what I can do to make my life more impactful in the things that I want to achieve. But COVID has played an interesting part in everyone's life over the last couple of months, and it's a lot of tragedy and sadness and these sort of things. But on a personal basis, I've got to try and find a silver lining. And it's given me a lot of time to reflect and think, and then plan, and then now I've got the hunger to get out there and start doing things again, which I can see some hope on the horizon. So we should be involved in a couple of projects starting potentially soon, and in Brixton Prison, which will be great, working with men who are about to come back into society and how we can support them and not returning back to the things that got them into trouble in the first place. So things are starting to build and but I think, the last couple of months has been exciting in a way, difficult and challenging, but ultimately it's given me the platform to kind of move forward.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
It's exciting times. I can't wait to come back. Are you in England, or are you in London, or are you in Scotland now?
I'm in London. I'm in London full time now, yeah.
I can't wait to come back and visit you once the gates open and see what you guys are doing. It sounds exciting times. I got to ask you though, you look fresh, man. How are you getting that tan? When I was living in London, we didn't have that kind of weather. I'm living in Dubai. I don't even have that tan.
So it's actually about 25 degrees today. It's lovely. And as being a Scotsman, we didn't see the sun that often. So whenever there's the sun's out, I take every opportunity. And, I've got a small back garden where I can sit. And it's been great because I've got 3 boys, and we've been able to spend time with the boys, even though it's been hectic. And you can imagine, the fun and games that goes on, but it's been nice to sit there. But you're not the first person to comment on that, and I've just kind of noticed it in the camera there. You're right.
Well, you know what,
maybe
man?
Maybe I need to calm down a bit.
I'll tell you what, man. It's so good to see you. You're looking well. You're looking fresh. Your story is real. It's raw. It's inspiring, and I'm glad those people are in your hands, so to speak, when it comes down to looking up for advice, because you've been there, you've lived it. The tan is on point as well, I gotta say. Where can we follow you, at least on social media for now, until the gates open, and then obviously times will be a lot better for us?
Well, just one point there that I'd like to, if you don't mind me saying, is that I do feel that I'm in a really privileged position now to pass on some guidance and experience, but I must mention, that if it wasn't for other people in my life being able to support me on that journey, I wouldn't be here and been able to do that. So I've got a lot of people to be grateful for. Street Soccer Scotland in particular, obviously Centrepoint, the homeless charity in London, where I worked previously, and family, friends and everyone else have gave me that opportunity. So life was difficult, but it's not like that today. Life's good today, but life was challenging, and a lot of that was down to me. Well, most of it was down to me, unfortunately. But it was. I'm in a really lucky position now, and that's been because people were always willing to support me. So I think, if anything, that gives me extra motivation to never close doors on any individual, and show them that there's always a route back to support and help when we can give that. Do you know what you're talking about social media there? I'm a novice when it comes to social media.
Listen, that's why I asked.
So it's interesting. I've got a colleague, Jack, he's a bit of whiz on it. He's brilliant. So we've currently, we've got a Street Soccer London, so Street Soccer LDN, which is our Instagram presence. We're not on Twitter yet, but we've got a Street Soccer LDN Facebook account.
Yeah.
But personally, you'll find me on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram under Craig Mcmanus 5. That was my number when I played football, but
before the
it was either 5 or it was either 5. It was either 5 or 14, depending on how the manager was looking at me. But so you can pick up on that, and I'd love for people in London to connect up, and because what I'd love to do is create a football movement, a football community where it's people from all different backgrounds. It doesn't matter if you've faced adversity or have you been the most successful person in the city. It's like we love the game, and the game can offer so much. So hopefully we can create a movement which allows people to share experiences, and more importantly, allow people to feel the commonality of what the game can offer.
Brilliant. Hey, listen, man, thank you very much for taking the time. I know there's a 3-hour time difference. It's always good to chat to you. You do look fresh, I have to say.
Cheers.
So
love that.
Awesome. And yeah, man, thank you for making our day. I'm sure the people will love to hear this show, and I'll share all the details with you on WhatsApp as well.
Perfect. Listen, take care, and thanks again, and I look forward to catching up with you when you get back to sunny London.
Definitely, mate. All the best, yeah?
Take care, mate. Cheers.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
If you liked this episode of The Halftime Show, drop a like and subscribe.
95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories. Pulse.